Hey everybody, I'm Brandon.
I'm Geddy.
And this is our third episode of our unofficial One Piece webcast called the Red Line Review. To begin, we'll be starting off with the most current story arc of the New World saga called the Punk Hazard.
And our opinions regarding this particular arc are simultaneously very different and very similar. So,
but it's good that we've got different viewpoints on this to not be too one-sided. But we're at this point in time where it's only halfway through the Punk Hazard arc, so we won't actually be able to conclude anything of our thoughts
here. But like from what we've seen so far, I think it's different.
It definitely is different. It takes a completely different turn from what we're used to in One Piece. Kind of like how Thriller Bark went, which even though I really like Thriller Bark.
I thought Thriller Bark was really cool, and even if it went with an aesthetic that we are in no way used to with One Piece, it paid off with something really interesting, which was, the appearance of Kuma and all that. So I think Punk Hazard is similar to that in that it has this very weird kind of sci-fi aesthetic going for it, which I kind of like, but at the same time, I don't know if it's right for One Piece.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to agree with that sci-fi feel.
It's cool. Like I like sci-fi stuff, and with the most recent chapter, we've seen some really interesting developments. I think that even if you don't like the aesthetic and you don't like even the story, which is kind of simultaneously very goofy and extremely dark, you can at least accept the fact that these new plot turns that we've just come across are intriguing enough that it's worth the strange kind of foreign territory.
The thing is, I guess I'll start off from basically where it starts. I thought it was extremely weird that it kind of starts off with like, alright, we don't really know much about this island. It's in the middle of this burning sea. Half of the island is flaming and half of the island was ice, which I really didn't have any concern for, and they kind of expanded upon that by saying how
explanation for that was awesome.
And I'm accepting for it, but it wasn't really needed. I wouldn't have been like, wait, why is half the island ice and half the island fire, because considering how crazy the weather and stuff in One Piece already is. So, but how it starts off, basically they fight that dragon and everything. I thought that was pretty cool.
I was not a fan of that, because I've been kind of preaching the virtues of this story. I really don't think, for a story that I assume enough fans have a problem with the direction it's going in already, you don't want to start a story about pirates with them fighting a dragon that then turns out to be an artificial being.
Well, it was created by Seafood, so...
But you don't know that at first.
Well, you could assume that. You're not going to assume that there really is a dragon in One Piece.
Who has so much faith in Oda and his writing abilities, was just like, what the fuck? Why are they fighting a dragon?
It was a cool moment for me. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to defend it to the death or anything. It was just a cool moment. But I'm going to go right into the fact that my second favorite character, Trafalgar Law, was brought into the series so quickly. I definitely wanted to see exactly where he was going with this, and the fact that he was mysteriously on that island without his crew for some reason, and how he became a Shikibukai, all that, plot development bringing in automatically was pretty awesome for me.
And that's another reason I do appreciate the story, because I guess I won't mid-swear. Like, I love all the characters in One Piece. Like, even if I say I hate a character, I still really do like them because it's just a great story. I hate Law so much. I don't understand why he's popular. He contributed he saved Luffy, but up until that point, he was just like this he's that generic guy you see in every anime that like stands there and chuckles to himself and like does that evil like half smile. And he's got a stupid hat, and I'm just like,
hey, don't knock the hat. Okay, he's got the panda pants.
I'm just like, what is the big deal about them? How is he more popular?
Alright, I don't want to go into why. Alright, I'm gonna have to go into why I like him. I mean, first off, he was one of the main three, Luffy, Kid, and of course Law, to actually, be a part of the beginning points of the supernovas, the introduction of the supernovas. I thought it was different. He had an extremely high bounty. We don't really know why at this point. We kind of don't know his intentions and everything, but yet, you know, we kind of saw like his strength in regards to like his weird devil fruit, which I will agree is a weird devil fruit.
Yeah,
the Ope Ope no Mi, but like him and Eustace Kid, like they're both pretty awesome characters, and to see Trafalgar Law take a completely different turn by going back into Marineford and saving Luffy, that was just so awesome
and
to
I
me.
guess it's not even Law that it's not even necessarily the character that I don't like, it's like the fandom's reaction to him. Like this guy who had done literally nothing, and this is before he saved Luffy. He's placing ahead of like these super important characters in like the popularity polls, and it just kind of like makes me question the overall you know, intelligence of the One Piece fan community, I guess. But Punk Hazard involved him in the plot and kind of expanded upon some of his backstory in a way that actually made me care about his contribution to the story. And at this point, I'm not rolling my eyes every time he appears on screen, because as we saw with the appearance of Vergo or Velgo or whatever they're calling him this week in the translations.
I think his name's Virgo, I don't know.
Whatever. With the appearance of him, we actually saw Law, you know, show some emotion. Which, and call me old-fashioned, but I like it when my characters, you know, have a little bit of depth to them, maybe show some emotion, aren't
Well, we all
perfect.
do. We all do. I mean, and to see, I mean, it was a little disappointing for me to see Law.
Because he had no flaws. He showed up and everybody was like, oh shit, look at this guy. And
Well, I mean, I guess that's what made him even more badass, but the fact that Law was defeated by this guy, we have absolutely no idea who he is,
But I think that
where the hell did he come
because
from.
now we're going to find out like his relation to Law and everything, and I just think that adds
First off, I think the major point of Punk Hazard that I'm gonna have to point out is the whole, you know, teaming up with Luffy and actually whispering into his ear that they're gonna team up to fight one of the Yonko is probably one of the most exciting things ever, because we've got these two badass characters. One, well, I guess both are one is a supernova, one is an ex-supernova, new Shikibukai. But now we've got, like, alright, we know it's not going to be Shanks. Luffy would never agree to go take down Shanks.
I think it's going to be Kaido.
It might be Kaido, might be Big Mom, and I don't know about Blackbeard if they want to jump right into fighting his crew so
That would
early.
be kind of dumb to not show us what they're talking about if it was just going to be Blackbeard.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been hinting.
we know that they hate Blackbeard.
Yeah.
I mean,
but Kaido is a character that we've like been waiting to see for a really long time.
I know he's one of the only ones we actually really have absolutely no idea what he's about.
Yeah, but like I said, I think, you know, it's involving Law in the plot. He's actually contributing something aside from saving Luffy.
Anyway, Law is an awesome character. I mean, I probably already mentioned this. I don't know if I have, but
bajillion times.
I mean, you know, I don't know about Punk Hazard as a whole. It's just everything seems so dark and mysterious, and like the whole Caesar clown human experimentation.
It's
just
and the dark. It's like bordering on being like the silliest One Piece story because it's all this sci-fi weirdness, and like the darkest, because if you know anything about history, like World War II history, you know there was a Nazi scientist by the name of Joseph Mengele who did lots and lots of human experimentation, and I like, you get that vibe from Caesar Clown.
But the thing about that is we already got a taste of that through Vegapunk. So the fact that Oda is kind of like trying to push this.
But I keep saying, I don't think Vegapunk is a bad guy, whereas Caesar Clown...
he's not necessarily a bad guy.
Caesar Clown is clearly like a maniac, and you know, it's like he's like drugging children, and it's just like this weird, super dark territory that One Piece doesn't usually.
I don't know, the fact that
into.
I guess to the fact that the Straw Hats are losing so easily in this already towards the start of the series after having 2 years of training.
But I think it's also showing. It's also showing how dangerous the new world is. I mean,
but yeah, we knew it was going to be dangerous.
But then you're not just. But like, you also have to show.
I mean, I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, we're the most powerful crew now. We're going to demolish every. Yeah, they can have some troubles, but completely losing so easily. Just we see back with the Yeti Cool brothers, whoever the fuck they were. We had Sanji and Zolo losing instantly.
I thought the Yeti Cool brothers were pretty cool.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, the Yeti Cool brothers.
The design. No, I mean I like their.
Considering Law killed one of the Yeti Cool brothers.
I thought that was actually a cool scene.
That was a cool scene.
But no, the Yeti Cool brothers. Gonna go off on a tangent for a second. If anybody watches the show Breaking Bad, they reminded me of two characters from Breaking Bad. Weirdly enough, characters who are like operators in for this drug lord who are like hitmen who will kill anybody.
Yeah.
They reminded me of Mike and Tyrus, if anybody who watches Breaking Bad is watching this, but that's why I like them. It had nothing to do with what they did. Their dialogue actually really pissed me off, how they kept saying how cool things were. That got old after the second time they did it.
If we're gonna go into things getting old, we're about to go on a rant about the body switchings. Now we already know this is completely ridiculous, but the fact that the Straw Hat, that Law, which is one of the most bullshit things about Law, I can't even lie, the fact that he's able to take the literal heart of one of the characters and place it into someone else's body, and also that person in the new body also has the same ability and strength of the person who received the heart, is out of control.
Okay, but real quick, Frankie in Chopper's body was the funniest thing.
It was funny. The first scene.
Okay, but the part where
but Nami in Sanji's body and the whole...
You just don't like it because Sanji still hasn't been switched.
I don't want him to stay in Nami's body. This is completely out of control.
The scene where Frankie makes that Frankie face in Chopper's body and his lip curls out. Yeah. And Robin's just don't talk. Stop talking.
I don't know. It was funny the first scene.
I hate it. I hate the body switching aspect. It pisses me off so much that I really...
And the fact that they made it a major thing when Law became a Shikibukai, the fact that he apparently took the hearts of 100 other pirates and gave it to the Marines to become a Shikibukai after getting his bounty up to 400 million belly, which already... I would not trust this guy if his bounty was 400 million berries. You think that the Marines would already be on their toes, considering they just got this one guy who had no bounty at all and ended up abusing his power, going into Impel Down, letting out all their prisoners, going to Marineford, killing Whitebeard, causing all this havoc, and then resigning from his position. You'd think they would be a little more lenient with who they...
Speaking of the warlords, Pump Hazard, I also appreciate the fact that Doflamingo is finally figuring into the main plot of the series.
We don't know that at this point in time. He was... Our most current chapter is the one where...
73, was it?
673, where Law briefly mentions him as the Joker, and that he's actually Doflamingo at the very end of the chapter.
And that's how the chapter... I thought that's awesome. Because it's a mysterious character, and obviously he's still very mysterious, but now he's there's going to be a payoff, and it's probably going to be soon, which is cool. And it's also what stake could he possibly have in human experimentation? It's really
we've already seen kind of Doflamingo's plot development, sort of, as in, how he's so cruel against his own crew members, and the whole human auction thing back at Sabaody.
But leaving the human auction thing aside, even including that, I've always felt him to be a character that has evil tendencies, but maybe isn't necessarily evil. Maybe he's just in it for the money. If being good was more lucrative, I felt like he would be a good guy. Because during Marineford, doesn't he give a speech about how it doesn't matter which side you're on or something? He's talking to somebody, I forget what it was, but
I don't know. Doflamingo tends to be a character who goes off on his own and kind of does his own thing, but yet still follows the orders of the Gurusei.
And now at this point, it's all right, he's bad, he's evil. If he's leading this whole human experimentation thing, and I just think that's really interesting. And yeah, it's
let's see where this goes.
He's kind of this untamed kind of badass, but at the same time, he's so indentured.
He's able to kill Moria. And
he's so indentured to the government because it makes it easier for him to operate, which kind of adds like another layer of interest.
But it was kind of like a lot of the warlords, like Boa Hancock just using them so that they could protect the Amazon, and
but with Doflamingo,
and Jinbei just doing it to kind of mend the ties between the racism.
With Doflamingo, though, it's obviously shown to be much more direct, as he's the only one they trust enough to kill Moria.
Well, I mean, considering he's like one of the very last warlords, I'm gonna go in right now. I don't believe Boa Hancock to be a true warlord. She's just doing it so that they could get the protection of the government.
Obviously, they don't.
Kuma is not alive anymore. I don't.
But they could have gone with Mihawk. So obviously,
Mihawk doesn't listen to anything that they have to say. I mean, he just shows up to see what's going on.
Which kind of makes it interesting. Like, Doflamingo has obviously demonstrated that as evil and piratey as he is willing to listen to the government ultimately, which kind of like begs the question, like, what more would he be willing to go? Like, what lengths would he be willing to go to for them? Like, that will figure into the story later.
I guess we'll find that out later on in the story. I mean, this next chapter is sure to be some information about Doflamingo.
And yeah, I really think that as goofy and as kind of like weirdly dark that it is at times, the mystery of it makes Punk Hazard worth whatever.
Punk Hazard definitely has a lot of potential.